Salute, peace, good evening. This is Malik Aline reporting here for the Under Lock and Key, here for the Noble Young Lords Party. So, this segment is going to be bilingual. I'm going to do the first segment in Spanish, and then I'm doing the other segment in English. So this is an article within the publications of Under Lock and Key, and this is actually coming from Grimm, brother by the name of Grimm, King Grimm. He's the founder of the state of Massachusetts. So I'm gonna read his words, and this is an old one too. This one is old. He written this back in 2000. Wow, it's like 20 years ago. Wow. Well, hey. Okay, let's see. So it goes like this. Historia revolucionaria de la todopoderosa nación de reyes y reinas latinas. Me imprime esta historia para educar a nuestros lectores y expandir la Frente Unido contra el imperialismo. Al estudiar las lecciones del pasado, construimos un futuro revolucionario más exitoso. No pudimos verificar que todos los nombres dados eran de personas suficientemente expuestas políticamente que este artículo no causarles más persecución. Para aquellos nombres que no eran verificados en el momento de la prensa, utilizamos la primera letra del nombre. Invitamos a nuestros lectores que han sido parte de esta historia a enviar a nosotros sus comentarios y háganos saber si usted puede verificar que los nombres se omiten las personas muertas o completamente expuestas a los cerdos. La imprimiremos otros artículos en futuras ediciones de Memnos. Nueva York, en la ciudad de Nueva York, todopoderoso Latin King Nation, puedes cavarlo en la estera de la proyección de la película independiente Black and Gold, producido por Big Noise Productions. La aprobación y orgullo brota de todos los miembros de ALKQN Nation. Se nos permite para ver una visión auténtica de la verdadera historia de Nueva York. ALKQN Nation es esta transformación política un incidente aislado de un capítulo, y esta transformación posible solo por el acceso, oportunidades en el Nueva York, Gran Manzana, o puede otros capítulos se dan cuenta de los mismos objetivos, aunque los recursos limitados. Yo escribí hoy diciéndoles que tal transformación, o mejor dicha, resurrección, no es la primera vez que se produce en las filas de capítulos o ALKQN Nation. Tres ejemplos. La génesis, el heredero y el futuro que es usted. Estados Unidos, ejemplos de que un verdadero latino organización estará a su disposición para luchar contra el imperialismo y su demon. Status quo, cuando llega la simbiosis, así lo hará la vanguardia. El Génesis, Chicago, Illinois. Al principio estaba el sol, la tribu del sol, es decir, a.k.a. la nación rey latino. Hicieron un intento de unir y luchar contra la opresión que la aristocracia laboral impresionaría en la nueva inmigrantes mexicanos y puertorriqueños que serían acusados de tomar que trabajos quedaron de la moribunda era industrial. Esto fue en 1940 y los oficiales de policía irlandeses e italianos eran tan criminales como la Unión Siciliana y lo hizo muy difícil para el Latin en Sienes. Reyes nación para mejorar su situación y se fueron subterráneo con la esperanza de un día que atmósfera, una atmósfera política se llega donde la sociedad sería más susceptible a algo como el Latin King Nation. Tal día llegó con el rey Erin Lord Bomba a principios de 1960 y una nueva generación de Latin Kings resurgió llamándose a sí mismo a todopoderosa nación rey latino, también conocido como la tribu de León. Señor Bomba luchó por el control del elemento neocolonial que se filtrado en sus filas y junto con Papo King, el siguiente edición del Manifiesto Constitución del Rey KMC. Por los dos reyes guerreros, el manifiesto fue elementalista, haciéndolo claramente conocido que el Omanaki Nation estaba del lado de Third. And that's it on the Spanish tip. On the English, okay, it looked like it didn't grab everything. But, oh well. Alright, on the English, it's like this. I'll do this on the English. I did that in Spanish. I did a translation. That's the most it took for the translation. I'm sorry. It's this computer. But I'll do this in English and hopefully y'all understand English, whoever's listening to this. Alright. Revolutionary history of the Almighty King Queen Nation. This was written by Grimm and is produced by the Maoist International Movement publications under lock and key. So Mim prints this history to educate our readers and expand the united front against imperialism. By studying the lessons of the past, we will build a more successful revolutionary future. We were unable to verify that all of the names given were of people sufficiently politically exposed that this article would not cause them further persecution. For those names which were not verified at press time, we use the first letter of the name in brackets. Now we invite our readers who have been a part of this history to send us your comments and let us know if you can verify that the names omitted are of people either dead or completely exposed to the pigs. We will print other articles in future issues of Mem Notes. It says New York Almighty King Queen Nation. Can you dig it? In the wake of the screening of independent film Black and Gold produced by Big Noise Productions, approval and pride shoots forth from every member of the Almighty King Queen Nation. We are allowed to see an authentic. Wow. Hold on, let me try to. Whoa. Okay, hold on. All right, here we go. I can read this now. Okay. Is this political transformation an isolated incident of one chapter? And is such a transformation possible solely because of the assets of opportunities in the New York Big Apple? Or can other chapters realize the same goals at bay the limited resources? I write you totally telling you that such transformation, or better said, resurrection, is not the first time to occur in the ranks of the Almighty King Queen Nation chapters. 3 examples: the Genesis, the Inheritor, and the Future, which is you, us. Examples that a true Latino organization will be at hand to fight imperialism and its demon status quo. When symbiosis comes, so will the vanguard. The Genesis, Chicago, Illinois. In the beginning, there was the Sun tribe, that is, aka the Land King Nation. They made an attempt to unite and fight the oppression that the labor aristocracy will impress upon new Mexican and Puerto Rican immigrants who will be accused of taking that jobs were left from the dying industrial age. This was 1940, and the Irish and Italian police officers were just as criminal as the Union Siciliana, and made it very hard for the budding Latin King nation to improve upon their plight, and they went underground hoping for a day that political atmosphere would come where society would be more amenable to something such as the Latin King nation. Such a day came with King Eddie, Lord Bamba in the early 60s, and a new generation of Latin King nations resurfaced, calling themselves the Almighty Latin King Nation, aka the Lion Tribe. Lord Bamba fought for control of the neo-colonial element that was seeping into his ranks, and along with Papa King, the next edition of the King Manifesto Constitution was created by both these warrior kings. The manifesto was elementalist, making it clearly known that the Almighty King Nation was on the side of the Third World to fight against the oppressors, aka the imperialists, no pork included. Unfortunately, the streets learned the youth organization for capitalist purpose, and the toxic biological agent known as heroin and cocaine became a player and enemy to be wary of. One of the imperialists' greatest weapons and the lumpen's worst temptation for a profit or temporary euphoric guarantee. King Eddie's death by folks of a different nature caused the old man, Lord Gino, Prince T, and another lord I won't mention since he's been keeping on the DL, to inherit. These three upheld the KMC, and a nation of thousands, at present day 20,000 in one city, became these three legacy. From them sprouted Kingism 1, 2, and 3, the KMC, and the fruition of a powerful lumpen organization, stretching its tentacles, if you will, to places like Arizona, Florida, Indiana, California, Indian reservations occupied by Canada. The legacy of the Sun King: the sun may rise in the west and set in the east, but its highest peak is in the wind west, Amon de Rey. The inheritor, the resurrection. The late 70s and early 80s brought about a lag in the Almighty King Nation political motivation. The demise of vanguards such as Black Panther Party, the Young Law Party, gave the warrior kings a moral defeat, and heroin cocaine was winning a battle for Black and Latino neighborhoods. The Almighty King Nation's objective became confused at best. However, the older Land King and Land Queens managed to find stability for the older generations of Almighty King Nation. But where was the 360 degrees of political intent? In the Viet Cong, New York has opened its first chapter in 1986 in Collins Correctional Facility, but as yet focused on unity and communal survival in the facilities. However, in the most unexpected state, a state which hid its ghettos very well, two men brought forth the black and gold and forced residents in Summers Correctional Facility and North Jails, Bridgeport, Connecticut, respectively. Connecticut overbrimming with hundreds of thousands of Boricuas in ghettos like Bridgeport, New Haven, Waterbury, Stanford, Hartford, Meridian, New Britain, etc., grasped the promise of black and gold and sought the unauthorized but equally powerful words of the Almighty King Nation Connecticut Charter, written by Nelson and someone else. The words were a reawakening, a resurrection for a young, poor, ghetto bastard like myself, angry at being the poorest and even ostracized for it. A kid in the hood, my father, an old school land king, was also a stone cold heroin addict. King Say Slim, rest in peace. Now, there are many just like me who sought the meanings of brown and beautiful. Now, Connecticut Almighty King Nation, we focused the gang mentality and brought forth an anti-imperialist view, allowing members and non-members alike to see that the solution was not in going out and getting a job, but in the reconstruction of a Eurocentric society. The supreme godfather of Connecticut, Nelson Millett, brought forth a sleeping wisdom in Connecticut. Almighty King Nation acted on it. Late in the day came Queen Beatrice to make up for her late arrival by refocusing the street chapters, and by 1992 creating such a strong political atmosphere within the Connecticut Charter that the feds were scared to death at the consequences such a political evolution promised. Food programs, drug mediation, protests, and even the modification of harassment behavior by local pigs were some of the righteous achievements Beaches helped to achieve. So, like Queen L of Chicago, Beaches has left an irrevocable mark on the ability of women to rule effectively and with confidence. I traveled with her to the political objective, but in a parallel role, I often regret not working personally with her except on one occasion to try and get members in college. Now, in retrospect, I see her as a catalyst to the resurrection of all my 19 Nation, and I wonder at times what good things will have come through our unity on the same path. A reason why at present I disagree with the view of autonomous chapters. One cannot uphold the same organization and call yourself autonomous because your success as a state chapter and your failures bring consequences to all of All My 19 Nation. So your defiance, your submission, your attacks will bring reaction to all of us from the federal state pigs. And therefore, a united front is mandatory until such times any of us persist on defying revolutionary practice. Now, division should not be decided because you carry a different style of practice. It is too petty a dividing line. Now, Connecticut carried a style of All My 19 Nation that I personally disagree with, but such a style was no less effective in bringing about political transformation because even New York chapter, I know I witnessed both transformations. So the Connecticut chapter, the New York chapter, the Illinois chapter line were practically identical. It was the tactic and strategy that was different. Now, Mao Zedong said, the correctness or otherwise of the ideological and political line decides everything. So when the party line is correct, then everything will come its way. If it has no followers, then it can have followers. If it has no guns, then it can have guns. If it has no political power, then it can have political power. Their methods were internally controversial and criticized, but none can say that they weren't effective. By 1991, the max membership in Connecticut was nearing 10,000, and the majority held a political mentality. Practice the ultimate truth. Now, the Connecticut chapter should have chosen the route of Chicago KMC philosophy from the beginning, but their achievements must deserve their view on tactics and strategy on looking over because they were effective. The All My 19 Nation resurrection history cannot be taught without adding these figures and this state chapter. Now, I do not mention the history of New York All My 19 Nation transformation because they tell their story eloquently. King Blood, King Tone, and Hector Torres. Louis Felipe, aka King Blood, is presently doing a life bid with 45 years mandatory isolation in the control unit. A verse in a poem of mine goes as follows. The blood remembers, sea of isolation, red cells clot in a show of frustration. I know his horror because I'm in his same situation. ADR King Blood. The aforementioned many history mentions names of people already exposed to the federal swine, and most doing time in the various departments of incorrection. Those that are not are individuals that have outed themselves as public spokesperson. So, however, I suggest that no present leadership and membership who remain unexposed put their names and the names of active members in the forefront. The future, which is you, us. The third and last state chapter out of the many state chapters I will discuss is the one which this servant founded and organized. I will go about this by answering questions given to me and questions which I feel should be asked. I give you an honest view of the making of a supreme Godfather and Lord of all my nation, imperfection and dedication, failure and success, corruption and redemption, and ultimately a socialist Latin king. Hopefully, this article brings forth the message to my comrades that growth and leadership does not take in extraordinary talent, only sincerity and a willingness to recognize that you may never enjoy the shade of trees that came from seeds that you planted. Power to the kings and queens. When did the mass All My Land King Nation begin? The mass All My Land King Nation began in the beginning of this decade. myself as his first organizer and co-founder in leadership with King Heckman and King Shadow, both doing life in prison. Initially, authority came from Connecticut and transferred to the motherland to El Sagrado Majestad, Sun King, y Las Coronas. My love and loyalty to Lord Gino, King Vic, King C of the oldest chapter under the sun. So Lord Grimm, Supreme Godfather, retired of Massachusetts state. What's that mean? It means I organized the first multiple chapters in the state in Springfield, Holyoke, Ludlow County Jail, Rochester County Jail, Walpole Prison, and headed this organization for the past 9 years, recently retired, and headed presently by a formidable leadership. Using Lord doesn't signify a superiority, merely an honor bestowed upon a comrade who has held state rank for over 10 years. I don't think that's true. Founded a nation chapter and other requisites. The honor given by the National Sun King of Chicago, Illinois. Until recently, only Chicago laws were entitled to be blessed by it. Okay, I stand corrected. Was your mindset always a political one? No. My father, King Saint Slim, tried to urge Black Panther type of philosophy that all my land King Nation 60s held, but I was a poor and ostracized kid, so that nonviolence kick became a burden. I didn't want to carry after a few ugly beatdowns. Now, I ain't doing that. My teens brought me away from that and into a grimy lifestyle. I didn't care for Boricuas or blacks or whites. I was for self. This before the transformation. So some would say that you didn't hold enough political experience to retain your rank after incarceration. What do you say about that? I believe that I could have used a lot more political education than I had when I began to organize the All My Land King Nation in Massachusetts. Upon reflection, I recognized that to be an effective anti-imperialist leader, one must actually study revolution, and who's best to learn it from than Chairman Mao Zedong. I find unity in much of his philosophy. Did I have enough political experience? I had more than King Blood and King Tone when they began as New York heads, but not enough to be as effective as, say, Eldridge Cleaver before he bugged out. Rest in peace. So, question, could you list examples of your political experience before you were incarcerated? Well, I was in the process of creating a nonprofit organization called Schooling with a competent educational consultant and a psychologist, Dr. Anks of Westport, Connecticut. I helped to lead an Amherst Daily Collegian office takeover and became one of the 8 people to negotiate on the demands. I was the Land King representative and your mass minority representative involved in the Hansfield College Science Building takeover. Well, that's what's up. Gotta salute him for that. In 1992 along with 2 other mass representatives. I also wrote my first political article for the All My Land King Queen Nation, then known as All My Land King Nation, in 1992, along with the MIM representatives, called the Underlying Latin King Statement and see Memo 67. I'm gonna look for that one. Give me one moment so I won't forget this. All right, so let me go back to here. All right, so let me go. All right, I just wanted to check that Mennos out, 67. All right, I will bring to Connecticut all my Land King Nation comrades for the various protests held constant blur of political activity. I'm proud of being a tutor to Latino children in Holyoke under the UMAS Arco Iris program located in the Hamilton Street Nueva Esperanza building. I would teach some English using Bobby Seale and George Jackson books. This was also in 1992. That's smart. Now, I'm gonna take that. Whenever I teach someone English, give them the revolutionary books. How do you become a full-fledged anti-imperialist? Well, it was an ongoing process. There was an actual time when I was a United States Army soldier, but that was to get away from some serious crimes, and I was also attracted to the adventurous lifestyle, be all you can be, and all that bullshit. My quickest lessons of anti-imperialism came from the United States Army, I guess. I went from resentment of America's double standard to rebel to reactionary to anti-imperialist. It was in my reactionary stage that I was arrested. There is a contradiction with politicizing for internal third world and being accused of killing a Latino. I was judged guilty by an entire suburban white jury except for one 65-year-old black man. Not a jury of my peers. The case hung on 3 informant testifiers about as credible as a $3 bill, but acceptable to American jurisprudence standards. The Wordland Kings terrified the jury due to the gang style interpretation. I didn't have a chance. How do you see the Almighty King Nation presently? The Almighty King Nation at present is the most advanced organization politically of its genre, if you will. It is not yet the type of advanced organization that MIM is, but it is advanced relatively. What is important at present is to stick to revolutionary practice, which includes a national symbiosis and line strategy and tactic, and not stray into social imperialism, which is what occurred to us in the late 70s, early 80s. It is only by examining the practice of various ideologies over the long run of history that one can decide which ideology is the most effective in promoting the end of oppression. Of oppressed groups by oppressor groups. Now, I encourage the leadership and membership to study revolutionary history intensively so that line, tactic, and strategy can be ideologically correct, because at the present, I think that is where we are at, searching and coming close to the correct line. From me, you will hear progression into the dialectical materialist theory and in turn the democratic centralism principle. Know what I mean? So far, Lord Bomba and Papo King's KMC is the most advanced. Where has the mass Almighty King Nation stood since your retirement from active administration? First off, my retirement is very recent. However, I didn't tell you that what occurred after my arrest. It was thought by the district attorney, state and federal pigs that Massachusetts would be safe from Almighty King Nation with my arrest. Not the case. I trained men like King I to go to the streets and take where I left off. I proceeded to direct the nation while incarcerated via Ludlow County and Walpole Prison. The political advancement of Massachusetts came from converting a young comrade from charter to nation. King M. We held correspondence and visited discourse, and I prepared him for leadership, protests, food programs, peace treaties with gangs, intra-organizational support for political purpose with the AFSJ, Arise for Social Justice. King M became catalytic leader in his own right, and the nation took hold of his own leadership as individuals wanted to be involved with the political collective. Now, DDU is an isolation unit where the 120 most violent men no longer able to function in population are sent. You've been sent there 5 times. Why? Good question. This is the Faux Pax that the Massachusetts DOC cannot deny. I am perhaps the first president sent to the newly opened DDU at the time for a non-violent disciplinary conviction, and on top of that, it was my first disciplinary board ever. Hardly the most violent prisoner in the state. While questioning intelligence officer Ed Tate regarding my first DDU sentence, he responded that the Land Kings haven't caused trouble to date, 1984 in Massachusetts. DOC nevertheless I was sent to DDU for 1 year and keep returning with absurd setups. The real reason was the political cohesion of Massachusetts. All my inclination due to the leadership direction, my belief was that they prefer neo-colonial leadership and the Almighty inclination rather than political leadership, and therefore buried the political minds in the isolation and segregation units. For them, it was a choice of which was the less kind of agitator. So the pigs knew that stunting the Almighty inclination growth would not be possible until the leadership was made to appear weak or confused, which is why I support bringing in democratic centralist principle, which will help to avoid such a situation. So far, this is not an Almighty King Nation principle. What is maximum efficiency of Almighty King Nation in your eyes? Maoist said in Selective Works, only by fighting in defense of the motherland can we defeat the aggressors and achieve national liberation. And only by achieving national liberation will it be possible for the proletariat and other working people to achieve their own emancipation. The victory of China and the defeat of the invading imperialists will help the people of other countries. Thus, in wars of national liberation, patriotism is applied internationalism. And efficiently working class Almighty King Nation and national Almighty King Nation is one that is uniform under national agenda. One where autonomous chapters does not include in its definition a separate line, tactic, and strategy that will confound and or confuse sister chapters. Their primary goal should be the liberation of Mexican and Puerto Rican lands from imperialists, be they American or Latino imperialists. This struggle is inextricably bound with the internationalists. Yeah, true. Bear with me. Ooh, the brother's going in. All right, with the international revolutionary objective, since the solution to our struggle is the downfall of imperialists, America and its cohorts. Maximum efficiency will have to include, as I've said before, the practice of democratic centralism because it encourages the mass membership to take leadership rather than depending on one person or a group of people to dictate policy. I have in the past been corrupted by the power and know thereof of whereof I speak. It also forces the membership to know what it's talking about and thereby encourages the study of revolutionary theory. There will still be leadership to uphold the KMC and the people's policy, but the chicken without the head tactic that these pigs use against us will be diminished greatly, and corruption of leadership will be diminished as well by much. These things become a great concern when attempting to run an anti-imperialist organization in an imperialist stronghold, especially organizations of our genuine, meaning La Familia, 5%, Bloods, Crips, Nientas, etc. Overly, bear with me. Actually, let me drink a little coffee. Yeah, I know it's gonna be this much. Overall, the Almighty King Nation, both Chicago and New York, Massachusetts, has ascended the road to anti-imperialist relatively efficiently. Its strength is intact, and I see no reason that the evolution should stagnate where it's at. It may appear that we are flying, but we're not out of the cocoon yet. I shiver in anticipation to see the day. At present, I stress uniformity under national headquarters, leadership, and King Manifest Constitution as the originally inherited literature of the Almighty King Nation. They've been moving effectively. I truly discourage autonomy and separate literature, which are used to confuse philosophic debate and catalyze discord within the movement. Now I understand this. I understand this few years back. That's neither here nor there. This is just an interview that I'm reporting to y'all. Alright, I am the man who has No. I cannot stress this often enough. My advice comes through the past experience of personal efforts, intended and unintended. What I have become now is a consejador, of uniformity and originality. I am the man who has practiced in a microcosm of the dialectical materialist theory. I want no authority, no power, only to build a strength in all my King nation. One nation under God, natural allies, together in one nucleus. My days of authority are over. I have achieved the highest honor being a lord, and I leave leadership to those who are mobile. Comrades must put their loyalty to the correct implementation of all my King creation protocol, philosophy, and policy. This means King Manifest Constitution, KMC. What role does a woman play in the All My King creation? A good question. I'll say better late than never. Queen L from Chicago, Queen Beatrice of Connecticut, Queen R of New York have shown us exactly how effective women can be in a male-dominated organization. The Latina women are plagued with a centuries-old subordinate custom, and I see that even in many of our women members and women in general. They must learn to understand the following. I quote MC5, NCB 52, and NC 206 when I say women feel violated because underneath their subjective experiences is the reality of economic, military, and governmental coercion. Once the women members and women in general understand this, they can use the dialectical materialist system to figure out the solution to their plight. I believe that the Almighty creation must make a more determined effort in bringing qualified revolutionary women to leadership. I urge land queens and kings to read Underlying Feminism, Unmodified End by Catherine, and to begin a dialogue about this book with men. Underlying Feminism. I might check that out. Of this most oppressive situation in which they find themselves, although I welcome the dialogue, All My Nation has gone further with women leadership than any organization in our genre. I can say that next to Black Panthers Party and Young Party, of course. Do you see a role for the All My Nation in a post-imperialist victory? Presently, the All My Nation serve as agitators and dispensers of anti-imperialist thought, eventually armed revolution. Beyond that, can only be determined by the need of the people, and that All My Nation will do what they can to fill that need, perhaps by joining the dominant anti-imperialist political party or forming a party that represents their people. One day, there will not be oppression, and in that day, we can see what the role of revolutionary practice brings us. This interview ends encouraging all members and non-members alike to bring about dialectical dialogue, and all are welcome to write Grim. So if you want to write Grim, you can write Grim at MIN, P.O. Box 559, Cambridge, Massachusetts, 0214. Please send at least 2 stamps, one for MIN to send me, and another from me to you. I'm a poor man, smile. I'd like to send a revolutionary salute to all comrades of the All My Nation and similarly revolutionary movements. Support MIN. I'm on the Rey Lord Grimm from Massachusetts, Supreme Godfather, retired. So there it is. I gave you a little information in Spanish, because it only gave me a little information in Spanish, and then I gave you the whole thing in English. So that was Grim. So as you can see, all the revolutionary-minded kings deals with the Maoist international ministry. And as you can see, if you put 2 to 2 together, that's what gave birth to the Noble Young Lords Party, which I'm proud to say that I'm a chairman of the Noble Young Lords Party here in New York State. All right? So, salute, a revolutionary salute to all the comrades. Have a blessed night. One Lord, one people, stay noble. Noble Young Lords Party. My name is Malik Alim. Keep it noble, baby. Keep it noble.